let's work on the lemon then. So that's the drawing, obviously. You can see here, that was my original line for the side of it, and then I extended it around. So first of all, I'm just going to come back in with my brush pen and just finish that line off, because I want it to, I think by doing that, it'll kind of make it look like it's part of the drawing really, and helping to suggest the curve of the lemon. Here's my lemon. I've got some strongish light on it, and in fact let's extend this a tiny bit more. And what I'm going to do is use the brush pen just in a wiggly line to suggest where that shadow is, I think. Something like that, or maybe like that. So here, yeah, I am not worrying about if I think it's gone a little bit awry, which I think it has. I'm going to work out how I can kind of get it back just by playing and experimenting and trying things out. Right, I'm going to also delineate around here because there's a bit of shadow there also. Lots of texture on this lemon. It's not really looking very lemony at all at the moment, but we'll get it back. Let's put a few chunky hatching lines in. Okay. I think it needs some colour straight away. So let's go in with that, just with the, in fact, why don't I just do that? See what happens. A little bit of orange, a little bit of grey. So I definitely wasn't planning any of this. Let's see what we do now. I think I'll just leave that like that. So you can see there that my brush pen has disappeared a tiny bit because of putting the chalk pastel on it, but I quite like that now. When I go back in with my graphite pencil, that's bringing a new dimension to it, which I didn't know would happen. So that's okay. Well, just thinking it'd be nice to have a graphite pencil in yellow and see what I could do with that. Go crazy with the shadow. Right, I don't think they're quite right. Wrong direction. Let's leave it like that for now. It's certainly changed in the last few seconds. Let's go in with this yellow colour pencil and see what we can do with that. Might be able to strengthen up some of that colour. I think what I'm going to do with this lemon is put in some of the texture, because I can see quite a lot of texture on it. There's lots of little pits, circles, pit marks. So let's see if I can do something with that. Not sure about this at the moment. let us see. Go back in with the graphite pencil, I think. Try and tighten the drawing up a bit. I quite like the smudges around the outside. Not sure about that. Okay, I think this lemon needs some different types of mark making. If you're working on something like this at home, just allow yourself to play and experiment. And remember, you don't have to show anybody. It's just for your enjoyment and benefit and relaxation and experimentation. There's hundreds of little dots on this lemon, far more than I'm actually doing. So I just felt that things were getting a bit murky here, so I've gone back to my fine liner pen just for a bit more and like a top layer of something a bit sharper. So I'm just drawing lots of little circles in. And also what I trialled was a few little dots in between, and I quite like that. It's looking a bit better down this end. There. It's a bit murky down here, I think, but it's starting to look a bit more cohesive, more than it was to begin with, I think. Again, I'm not trying to make it a realistic drawing, but I do want it to read as a lemon with light and dark, I think. Yes, I do. I want the light and dark on it because I want it to look three-dimensional. So I might put the shadow in on this one. We'll see. I'm just wondering if I can come up with something more inventive than just lots of dots and circles. Or whether I might be overdoing it if I do anything else. I think that orange is a bit weird now, but it's okay. So I think I am going to try and put something of the lemon in. I've just moved it onto the white paper so that I can see the shadow a bit better, and I'm playing with the light. So it's not the sharpest of shadow lines, but it is there. So I'm going to just draw. Oh, there's more than one shadow. I'm going to just draw a version of it in with a light pencil. And then maybe just fill that in with the lead pencil for now, see what happens. That looks a bit too sort of smudgy and solid for my liking. So what I might do is what I always like to do, and I'll do it with my my graphite pencil. I will do my little horizontal lines, or just straight lines. They don't have to be horizontal, as long as they're straight. because I'm trying to suggest that the lemon is on a flat surface. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. Okay, so I think now what I want to do, notwithstanding what I've done here, is I want to extend this background colour a bit to the rest of the drawing. I mean, the rest of the page. I didn't really think about the overall composition of the page when I began. So now I want to try and, I don't know, just connect it all a little bit, make it look a little bit more, feel a bit more, what's the word? Intentional, I think. Not that I'm really liking this yellow at the moment. That's okay, I'll probably can do something about that with this pink. See how things change dramatically when you just try something. Now I'm aware that I'm losing a bit of my dark line around here, so I might go back over some of those. Probably not going to worry about them quite for now. Bit more yellow on this side. Three random objects. Now I'm trying to make them kind of come together. Trying to connect them somewhat. So I've just had an impulse to get a thin pink pen and just go through the background of a lot of it. We'll see. Okay, I wanted that to be a bit straighter, but never mind. And then how about we put one down here. See what happens. Maybe here. No, I really did not, like I said at the beginning, I did not have a plan for this page. I am literally problem solving right now on the hoof. Whoops. But, you know, you do one thing and it leads to another and it leads to another and it leads to another. I quite like that. Or it opens up possibilities for another thing to be done. Now I'm wondering if they need to be a bit darker, whether I need to go over those with a black or maybe an orange to bring that orange out of the lemon. And now we've got these shapes. If I wanted to, I could work into these shapes that I've just created, which I think I might. Whoops, that orange isn't really coming out anymore. Let's see. I'm just going to have a think Okay, I had a quick think and I filled that little area there with some pink hatching lines. I think I'll do these. Tempted to do them in the same direction, but I think I'm going to go in a different direction. Could end up looking a bit confusing. Oh, interesting. There's another little shape here. Quite like that. Now, my hesitation is that the rest of these shapes are quite big. So I think I might try and break those up a little, which means kind of putting in some more of these. There we go. I still think they could be broken up a bit more. Maybe I'll bring one down here like this. Oh dear, that I didn't want that to be quite so bendy. Let's do that instead. Shame about these. Let me see if I can think about doing something to camouflage or integrate those somehow. So you might have noticed that I've done a little bit more to this page now, including replicating or trying to replicate some of these marks that I made at the very beginning. I've just put some of similar ones in the background just to kind of carry on that theme, I suppose, all the way through. And that's also kind of brought in a sort of horizontal element to this page. What I would like to do, which I'm not really going to succeed in very well, is to make my Christmas cactus leaves a bit whiter. They've gone a bit grey with all the smudging, and I don't have a good enough white pen to do that with, so I'm just going to leave that for now. But one thing I am going to do is colour in, I think, my writing, and I'm going to use my chunky pink pen for this. And I might add some more writing on the other side, but I'm not quite sure what exactly to write yet. So just step by step, this page is developing. Yeah, that's made that a bit stronger. So I think it might need some writing somewhere else, maybe. Not too sure yet, maybe. Maybe around there, perhaps. Coming down here. I'll have to think about that. I've decided what I'm going to write. So here we go. So how to solve problems creatively. ... Whoops. Take one step, and I'm going to make that come out here like this. Take one step, ... And then we have to go up here, and I'm going to say, and it informs the next, which take one step, which will inform the next, maybe, and it informs the next. Take one step, which will inform the next. Take one step and take one step to inform the next. That'll do. To inform the to inform the next. Dot, dot, dot. There we go. And I'll make that pink, and then we'll see what that looks like. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it there now. There's probably more I could do. I mean, I will probably finish off these Christmas cactus leaves, but I'm not going to do that because the video will, you'll be watching for hours and hours and hours. But hopefully that has kind of demonstrated how I go about starting something and not knowing where it's going to go, but just working through creatively and making changes and not being afraid to take a step, because whatever step I take, I know that I can either improve it or amend it or balance it with the next step that I take. So there we go, one page evolved step by step. I hope that you enjoyed that video. I certainly enjoyed the process. What I really like is that now I've got a page that didn't exist 2 hours ago, which is a really obvious thing to say, but that's the beauty of drawing and journaling and creativity. So yes, I hope that, like I say, you enjoyed it and that you feel confident now in not worrying so much about the steps that you take or what you put on your page, and know that you can adapt and make changes until you are kind of happy with what you've created. So it's always a learning process. Solving problems creatively is part of the process of any drawing or art journaling. So I encourage you just to keep it in mind and to continue to enjoy what you're doing. So thank you again, and I'll see you next month.